All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about what Shakur Stevenson had to say about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Co-signs with something that Keith Thurman had actually said. So let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound and the 130-pound division and talk about what the exceptional 130-pounder Shakur Stevenson had to say about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, and Terence Crawford in particular. Also going to talk a little bit about what Keith Thurman had to say yesterday, because the two are connected. But before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you please accept my invitation. Don't make sure. If you like it, do it. If you don't, it is what it is. But if you like the content, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you so much for your continued support. Really does mean a lot. Thank you both in the live streams that we do and in the videos that we do Monday through the live streams we do and the videos that we do pretty much every day a week. Every day during the week. So thank y'all a lot. All right, so let's get into this. We got a really big fight, hopefully, that's going to be made between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. It is pretty much what everybody is talking about in boxing. And you know what it is, man. I love boxing, so I'm going to talk about what everybody wants to talk about, and that is this particular fight. Now, there was an interview that was shown, I do believe it was on Fight Hype yesterday. Not sure if it happened early, sometimes they may delay the actually releasing the video for a little while. So I'm not quite sure when it was that Shakur Stevenson said this. But he was asked about the Errol Spence Jr. fight and the Terence Crawford fight. Also, and in the midst of it, brought up the sparring that took place between him and Terence Crawford, and was asked, what do you think was something about Terence Crawford that Errol Spence Jr. needs to worry about, or other people that fight, Terence Crawford? What did you experience in him with sparring that a lot of people really don't get a sense of? And what he said was that Terence Crawford's a lot faster than he looks. Like, you get in there, if you see him on TV, you don't really realize how fast he is. And as a result, you can wind up getting caught with something because his hands don't look that fast. Now, he said that had caused, he being Shakur Stevenson, that had caused him problems, the first time that he sparred him, but over the more times that he sparred him, he got used to it, and it really helped develop him into a better fighter. Now, at the same time, Keith Thurman, who was asked about the fight between Errol and Terence Crawford, basically said something that co-signs that, which was that looking at Errol Spence Jr. fight, he thought Errol Spence Jr. was slower than, he thought Errol Spence Jr. was, if not slow, his punches look slow, and he thought that somebody like himself, Keith Thurman, or Terence Crawford could wind up and could punch in between those shots and wind up catching them. He said, that he's seen a little bit of that with the fight with Yordenis Ugas, where Yordenis Ugas caught Errol a couple times. So between the two of these guys, and by the way, these guys know boxing, right? I'm not going to be one of these. I don't mean I say you specifically. However, if it applies to you, it applies to you. I'm not one of these people that think people are hating just because they have an opinion that does not sit well with what I want to happen, right? A lot of times you'll hear people that are calling people haters, this, that, and the other thing. But as soon as they hear something in support of a fighter that they don't want to win, they will immediately wrap that up into some conversation about how the person's just hating on them for this reason or that reason, right? So you have Shakur Stevenson, who says this. Shakur is cool with Terence Crawford, sparred with Terence Crawford. They were both top-ranked fighters, both fought on ESPN. So people could say, oh, well, Shakur's just hating because that's Shakur's boy. He don't really mean that. No, Shakur Stevenson is very capable of looking at somebody and telling them the truth out of his mouth, right? Same thing for Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is capable of looking at a fight with Errol Spence Jr. and saying, oh, man, I think I can get in between those punches, right? Terence Crawford, somebody that's crafty with Terence Crawford, may be able to counter Errol Spence Jr. in between those shots. And they can do that without having to have they should be able to say that without having their entire opinion discounted, because there may be some reason that they may favor this guy over the other guy, right? Errol Spence Jr. said he won't fight Keith Thurman. Terence Crawford said he would be open to fight Keith Thurman. So Keith Thurman is going to skew everything that he has to say in favor of Terence Crawford. No, it's just a reasonable assessment that the man has about what he saw. Now, is he right? I don't know if he's right. He doesn't know if he's right because he's never been in the ring with Errol. But I will say this, that Yordenis Ugas and Mikey Garcia and several other people said the same thing. Hey, he's slow of foot, he's slow of this, and it never happened. For some reason, he's throwing punches, and while he's throwing these punches, these guys are keeping their hands at home, and he seems to be able to punch fast enough to get off a couple hundred of them in a round, right? So how slow can the man really be if he's that slow, right? Now, Terence Crawford may very well be fast enough to punch in between them, right? And hit him with a counter shot here, hit him with a counter shot there. For me, I don't have any doubt that Terence Crawford is going to be able to hit Errol Spence Jr. at some point in time in the middle of Errol Spence Jr. throwing that many punches, because that's what's going to happen with anybody that is throwing that many punches. You have Chocolatito. Chocolatito is somebody like Errol that throws a lot of punches. He does get hit because he's in range to be hit while he's punching. And the more punches you throw, the more opportunity there is to counterpunch. But the question is he going to be able to counter in a way that is effective enough to slow down that volume? And during the time that he is not punching and Errol is punching, is Errol going to be able to put enough, exact enough punishment on him to really make it a situation where it can affect Terence, right? We don't know that until the fight actually takes place. However, people are going to have their opinion one way or the other, right? And it's not hating on one guy or not hating on or hating on Shakur Stevenson. If he thinks Errol Spence Jr. can win the fight, and I don't recall him saying or making a pick for the fight, so don't want to say he did that. But that's not an unreasonable thing. Same thing with Errol Spence Jr. I think Keith Thurman seemed like he was hedging a little bit towards Errol Spence Jr. in the fight. It may be because that style, Terence Crawford style, is closer to Keith Thurman style. Don't know, but not an unreasonable opinion. However, when the question is asked whether or not anybody else has been able to prove these assertions, I tell you without a doubt, no. I have absolutely positively not seen anybody that made Errol Jr. look slow in the ring. And Yordenis Ugas is a very, very good counterpuncher. So is Danny Garcia. Very, very good counterpuncher. And neither one of those guys have poor hand speed. Now, Danny Garcia doesn't have the best footwork and foot movement in the world, and neither does Yordenis Ugas. They will both tend to stay there or move forward, but as far as their hand speed, nothing particular. They don't have big gaps in that area. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting observation. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Deuces.